Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love. Sitting next to me is none other, and y'all know this the General. Come on, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, you know how we get this thing started, man. How was this weekend, this past week?
This weekend was excellent, brother, man. And I tell you, you know what weekend this was.
Yeah, just classic weekend. It's classic. Did you get a chance to get out to the game?
Yes. As a matter of fact, got down to the game, man. Had my wife and daughters, and man, it was just incredible, Greg.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm ashamed to say that I am not ashamed to say I'm a proud graduate of Florida A&M University. I'm not ashamed to say that. I am ashamed to say that I've never been to a classic.
No?
I've never been to a classic, and I graduated from FAM years and years ago. Now, some of my fraternity brothers, because I pledged A5Q at FAM, and so some of my fraternity brothers went to the game, and I got a chance to link up with a couple of them on yesterday. Big ups to Bebe and Ken and those guys.
No tailgate, none of that, Greg?
Never been, man.
Hey, man.
Never been.
Hey, I got to tell you, brother, you missing out.
Listen, apparently, because I know this is a little ways down the list, but apparently because this was the largest HBCU football crowd, I want to say ever.
So when you say the largest, what kind of numbers are we looking at?
So the reported numbers that I've seen, Brother Love, is 73,358 folks were at that game this weekend, and that is a tremendous crowd. And I mean, especially coming off of the pandemic, for a period of about 2 years, not a lot was going on, not a lot of people were coming out, but now it appears that the Classic is back. But not only is the Classic back, FAMU is back. Let's just say it like that.
But Greg, isn't this the second year of breaking the 9-year streak that the Wildcats had over the Rattlers?
Why you sound surprised?
Okay,
and plenty more is coming.
Hey, and I'm just pointing out facts. But Greg, it's good that you mentioned the 73,000 plus that were in attendance. But from all the different talking heads and the estimators and the economic impact people, the number that they were talking about that benefited from a weekend of the Florida Classic?
And we say the numbers in terms of like businesses?
The amount of money, the revenue that was generated from those businesses, hotel rooms, merchandising. Basically, Greg, they were talking about $20+ odd million.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it has to be somewhere in the double tens in terms of the amount of money that's generated for pretty much a 2-day event.
Yeah.
Because people are coming in on Friday, they go out, do different things, and then they have the game on Saturday, Battle of the Bands and all of that other stuff. I mean, but yeah, that is a great fiscal 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 impact.
You're right.
On Central Florida.
And Greg, listening to some of the interviews that took place with the small businesses that basically carried this thing over 2 to 3 days, they were saying that their margins on the business that they did put them over the hump, man, for the rest of the year.
Good, and as well it should. I mean, that is what HBCUs should be doing and have shown the capability of doing in large markets like Central Florida. And so, very good for Florida A&M University, very good for Bethune-Cookman University for having the fans come out and to support and show that, we can come together, we can have great events. And Brother Love, I didn't hear about nobody showing out.
I didn't hear about that either.
Yeah.
Great. I'd be remiss if I didn't back up just a little bit.
Right.
And say, man, I appreciate, man, last Monday, I was watching this show called Let's Talk Nation. I wasn't in it, but what I saw was the Jackson 5 -3. Hey, man, you and your wife, man, did an incredible job. And I know, you were guiding and directing the show, but when your wife came on the show, she made the show that day, brother.
Well, listen, I mean, she did a great job. She is preparing for her own program on Let's Talk Nation, which is RD Community and Me, where she's going to be talking about, healthy lifestyles, healthy way of eating and different things like that. And as a part of that, Brother Love, we got a little something that we want to talk about as a part of the healthy eating and healthy living. So in addition to Baina Toby Jackson doing her show that's going to be coming up, RD or Community RD and Me, we also have a fantastic cookbook by Miss Desiree Steels, where maybe they can join forces. We got an author of a cookbook, and we have a registered and licensed dietitian that can come in and look at this stuff and help people to eat healthy, man. So what's going on with the cookbook?
Well, you know what? And the husband, and I'm gonna go ahead, Dontrell. He's one of my golf buddies. Card playing. They only invite me to play cards because I'm not good at it. But he told me, man, make sure that you give the title of the book because, Greg, what does that say up at the top right there?
More than a cookbook.
More than a cookbook.
More than a cookbook.
Doc Polite, man, come on, bring us in on this one camera over here because the audience has to see this. And Greg, this comes off the wings of your wife, man, doing the show last week, talking about nutrition, talking about, Greg, did I get it right? She was talking about diabetes.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. Yeah, yeah.
And so we have to say, once again, this is more than a cookbook. Let's Talk Nation is supporting and endorsing programming that matters to people. And so, Dontrell, tell your wife, Miss Desiree, that this book is incredible. If you want to get this book, you can go to Amazon. Great. Where else did I tell you this book is available? Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Nobles. That's right. I was trying to think of where.
Yeah, and I know it's one that I'm missing, but this is more than a cookbook. And man, I was going through here and I was telling Trail, man, your wife got recipes in here.
Why you got it? What's the recipe in there, man? Let's take a look at this book, man. Let's go ahead and
you know,
let's go ahead and give some big ups.
Here you go, brother.
Let me see this. Hold on a second.
Because this book is copywritten too, by the way, y'all. So y'all need to go ahead and.
Oh, here's a good one now, brother love. Here's a good one,
that?
And I'm sure that Miss RD, Community and me, Community RD and me, would be a proponent of this, brother love. This is avocado toast.
Avocado
toast, and this is a healthy way of getting your good fats and your protein. It has like some tomatoes on this,
and it looks good too, man.
What's that? Now, none of the stuff that I eat, but I heard that it's good. That's why it's good because it's none of the stuff I eat. What else we have here from Miss Steels? Okay, hold on. What you say, brother love? Let's have some good instructions about different things. Okay,
but something else you've been doing, man, that I saw on here, man, that I was impressed with, and kind of making me want to.
Okay, all right. Now look at got the little.
So it's more than a cookbook because Miss Desiree is showing.
That's what it says.
More than a cookbook.
More than a cookbook.
Hey, but you know what, Greg? Here's something, and I'm gonna be positively critical. Now, my golf group, everybody, kids, when they selling Girl Scout cookies, they looking to pledge or go into fraternities or sororities. We get those texts that say, hey man, can you support this, support that? Well, here's one of our brothers, his wife has a cookbook, and all you got to do is go on Amazon, go to Barnes and Noble, and go ahead and put that title in, More Than a Cookbook. This is Miss Desiree Steels, and get yourself this doggone cookbook because you're going to be cooking. You're going to be working out.
That's right. That's right.
And Greg,
healthy lifestyles, man. Healthy lifestyles.
And once again, when's your wife's show going to be broadcasting on Let's Talk Nation?
Now listen.
Or LTN Network. Let me be correct.
Now, she gonna get mad at me when I get to the house. We're gonna have a sophisticuffs because I've been telling her for the past month that Doc Polite say get your stuff together. So I've been talking to her. So she better have her stuff together by January 1st. Otherwise, Doc Polite gonna have to talk to himself.
Okay, all right. Hey, and on that note, Greg, and I know this is probably the segue that you probably don't want me to go to.
No, wait. Stop. Sorry,
no.
Wait a minute, because you left off the classic too soon.
Oh, I left off the classic. Greg is trying to distract me.
You know what I'm trying to do.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about this Rattler record for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
I got to talk about this Rattler record for a minute. So the Rattlers, brother love, in addition to having a big game this weekend, all right, all my family Rattlers out there, big ups. But in addition to having a big game this weekend, beating BCU, FAMU is also 10-1 this season.
You're right.
10-1. The only team they lost to was University of South Florida. Which
Greg, with all due respect, you say beat. Were you trying to go ahead and say beat down?
Listen, man, we got a lot of Wildcat fans out there, man. We got a lot of Wildcat fans, and dare I say, we have just as many Wildcat fans as we do Rattlers.
You're right.
All right. And so I'm not, listen, I'm not trying to incite nobody. I want everybody to come back next week with smiles on their face. So I'm just gonna say FAMU is victorious. My team won this year. How about that? We're gonna keep it at that.
Hey, it was them boy. Hey, them Rattlers look impressive.
They look real good, man. But like I said, 10-1. I want to say the SWAC, championship game is going to be in Tallahassee on the 2nd of December. My frat brothers were telling me that, so I may be going up to Tallahassee on the 2nd of December to see FAMU whip whoever it is that they're going to whip. Excuse me, play whoever it is. That
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And
put on in there.
no, absolutely. So yeah, so big ups to FAMU Rattlers. I heard. White radio stations need to be very careful when they talk about HBCUs, because in addition to hearing some people say FAMU, it's not FAMU, it's FAMU. I heard on another radio station, a white radio station, they said the FAMU rattlesnakes.
FAMU.
FAMU rattlesnakes. And man, it took everything in me. They're lucky I was walking in the office, because I was going to call and say, listen, it's not the rattlesnakes. It's the FAMU rattlers.
Yeah.
If you're going to get it right. So,
Hey, well, Greg, I'm glad that you came back to that, but I got to come back to this.
what you got?
Everybody's asking about when is the general show going to debut, and give everybody the title of the show that you're going to be debuting on LTN Network.
Listen, it's called I Got Time Today.
Tell people about how did you come up with that, Greg?
Listen, man. I mean, when we were on the radio, Brother Love, when we were on the show, there would be people calling from time to time that would challenge our positions and that would challenge us, and a lot of times we had to move away from the topic because we just didn't have enough time. And so I got time today means as much time as I need to sit down and get some straightening is what I'm gonna do.
I remember some of the phone calls.
Listen, man, and this is what I'm gonna tell people. It's like, so I'm gonna tell you this. When I was growing up, I would go and visit my grandmother in Perry, Taylor County, Florida. And it'll be myself and my cousins in my grandma's house. And it would be some people sometimes that were crazy enough that would come up on the front porch talking that noise and jibber jabber. And we'll say, you know what? You won't come in the house and say that. Because as soon as they came in the house, we cut off the lights and people jumping from behind the sofa. They get beat down. They don't know
I'm
what's going
surprised
on.
they came to the front porch.
Listen, man, they didn't know what they was doing. That's what I Got Time Today is about. You don't come on I Got Time Today and think that you go walk out without getting battered and bruised.
And Brother Armando, he's helping me with this. And I got to always plug my brother, but
Yeah.
Greg, you're an attorney by trade.
Yeah.
You do personal injury.
Mm-hmm.
How would people get a hold of you if they need a good attorney?
Yeah, listen. So I mean, the same excitement, the same vigor that I do the show. I also do the same type of thing in the courtroom. I love getting in there, mixing it up and tussling and things like that. So I am one of the more aggressive attorneys. I try lots of cases. And, if you ever have any questions, you need some help with anything, just call 407-564-6604 or text that number. You don't have to call. You can text that number because sometimes I'm unable to pick up my phone, but you can call or text me at that number. And I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you and see if I can help you out. And as a matter of fact, Brother Love, and I've gotten calls from people listening to the show. But interestingly enough, last week I got a call from a gentleman and he was asking about someone for employment law. And so I just asked, I said, listen, I really don't do employment law. Mm-hmm. The person that I normally steer towards employment law is a good friend of mine, and I'm not going to mention him because he is not a sponsor just yet. But when he becomes a sponsor, I'll mention his name, and I bigged him up, and I told this guy, he's like, man, and so I asked him, I said, well, how'd you find me? He said, man, and then listen, this is the true story. He said, I looked up the best black lawyers in Florida, and your name came up.
Hey.
So listen. So if you want to find
people don't remember those cases that you won. I mean, we were talking about them this year, last year.
Yeah.
Hey, so when they say they Googled you and you came up,
that's what they say, man.
Only other thing you needed to be saying is, okay, thank you. Keep the Google searches going.
Keep the Google searches coming, man. But no, I appreciate that. When people, take the time out, look me up and they actually call me and they're surprised when they get me on the phone. But when you call me, yeah, man, I pick up now. Sometimes I remember the one lady that called and was like, I called you, you didn't call me back. I was like, well, how important was it to you?
That's it.
If it was real important, you call me back. Don't
quit that easily.
You got to understand. So,
well, Brother Jackson, I got to mention this, and then we can move on. Had a young lady say to me that, hey, the dealership wants such and such amount for this repair on her Mercedes Benz, right?
Uh-oh.
And asked, did I know anybody that I could refer her to, or did I know anybody at the dealership?
Who you told to call?
Hey, this is an excellent opportunity for our executive producer to go ahead, because everybody knows Joe now. Everybody, the ones who don't know Joe, they want to know Joe. So
what did you say, Brother Love? Tell me what to say.
They break, I fix. They break,
Joe,
I fix.
my man Joe.
So, hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I know Doc Polite, he's just ready to put this commercial in. This is Joe.
They break, I fix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars. They break, I fix at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Located at 1240 State Road 436 in Altamont Springs. They break, I fix. Call me, mention Let's Talk Nation and bring your certified dealership repair quote. And I beat by 30%. Remember, they break, I fix. Call me at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040. After they break, I fix. Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Man, I think you and Doc Polite be clowning me, man, because y'all be asking me, come on, Brother Love, tell us that commercial again. But I'm going to say,
you do it good.
I do it good. Okay. They break, I fix.
There you go. Listen, man. Joe need to have you to redo his commercials, man. Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
But listen, no, all jokes aside, thanks to Joe Auto Repair, and thank you for being a sponsor of the show, and for also if Let's Talk Nation, if you all did not hear, if you mentioned Brother Love, Greg Jackson, Let's Talk Nation, you will get a 30% discount on the repair of your vehicle. So Joe, we appreciate you, and we're going to keep plugging you, because guess what?
They break, I fix. Man, y'all clowning me. Hey, Greg. Hey,
Yes,
man,
sir.
as the holidays approach, man, retailers are rethinking self-checkout.
So, about 2 years ago, we started talking about, automation, Brother Love. And we started talking to people about, hey, at some point in time, we're going to walk in the stores, and there are going to be fewer and fewer people behind the counters or behind the cash registers that's helping out. And so we've seen, whether it's McDonald's or, convenience stores, well, not so much convenience stores, but like CVS, Sprouts, the little grocery stores, Publix, and they have like the little self-checkout. Well, what they're starting to find, Brother Love, is that, they were able to get rid of people, but as they got rid of people to do the checkouts, their loss prevention started to go up, or the amount of money that they lost in loss prevention, meaning people stealing stuff or people taking more than what they were supposed to get, has gone up. And so now, these retailers who spend a lot of money on automation are starting to realize that, hey, maybe it's a good idea if we have people that are checking folks out, because we're losing a lot of money.
So, Greg, was it more of a matter, okay, I'm going to scan one, I'm going to get one on the house. I'm going to scan one, I'm going to get one on the house.
Listen, man, go watch some of these YouTube videos. And in some of these YouTube videos, you have people that are walking through that aren't paying anything, and they get caught in the parking lot with like, $2,000-$3,000 worth of merchandise.
Yeah.
And so, this is a big deal. And just think about, these flash mobs, the number of people that run in the stores and snatch out things. But this is a big deal. I think, the number that I heard was like $126 billion that retailers have lost this year in loss prevention because of these types of thefts.
And Greg, a good example of that, and we were talking about this maybe 6 months ago when we saw in Chicago and some other places where, and I'm not going to mention them by name, but some of these drug stores that are in local communities that were basically shutting down.
That's right.
Look at what that does to those communities. Look at what that does to jobs in those communities.
Yeah.
And the other part of it, Greg, those retail stores that were paying a certain level of property taxes on those properties.
Yeah.
And you're more of an expert than myself on this, but it has to also have an impact on what they're paying to those local governments because they're no longer in business.
Well, not only that, though, Brother Love, but remember, for any store that's in business, they have to also take out insurance. So in some strange sort of way, this causes insurance rates to go up. And anytime a company has to pay more, either in insurance or in inventory or whatever the case may be, guess who pays for it? The consumer pays for it. So prices go up in these particular areas also. But, the bigger thing also, Brother Love, is that what folks need to realize is that this isn't, like little kids that are, going into the thing, putting a pack of bubble gum in their pocket. these are actually organized crime rings that are going in, stealing these things that are causing prices to go up and causing businesses to leave communities and creating, in some respects, food deserts or retail deserts, because now people don't have these retailers in their communities and they have to go outside of their communities now.
Great. Let me push that legal mind of yours a little bit more on this topic. When you look at, and I don't, certain states or certain cities that have bail reform, when you look at, I guess, the rates of the level or the threshold for grand theft,
Right.
I don't know the comparison of misdemeanor versus a felony.
Right.
But when you look at these things, Greg, and you look at the flash mobs, there has to be some correlation there.
I mean, it's a big correlation. It's a huge correlation, and especially when you're talking about these flash mobs, because when you talk about the flash mobs, now not just CVS or not just Walmart or Walgreens. Now you're talking about Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and I mean these high-end luxury brands where people are going in. And I mean, I don't know if you last saw. I mean, Doc got on his Gucci glasses right now. Doc, what those frames cost you? About $1,500 for them Gucci frames that you got on your eyes, man. But my point is, when they go in there taking these luxury items, I mean, literally, you go in there and a purse can be $5,000-$6,000 or more. And so when they're going in and taking that amount of merchandise, this is felony level crimes that's taking place. Doc, what you got on your mind, man?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Doc, you on mute?
No.
Oh, okay.
Tell Mondo turn it up.
You good, man?
Okay. No, I have a question. Now, isn't this organized crime and they can be prosecuted under RICO? This is a legal question.
They can. I mean, RICO is for organized crime rings such as what you see. The problem and the issue is building a case strong enough to go against someone on RICO charges. But I don't know if you heard, but just recently here in Florida, I want to say as recent as last week, they busted up a retail ring that I believe they're going to be bringing RICO charges on because they had like $4 or $5 million worth of merchandise in some warehouse somewhere. But yeah, that's a great question. This is considered to be organized crime. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because the thing about it though, boosters have always been around. This is nothing new. Anybody that has been on that street level, it's not new. It's just I think it's more awareness now with this 24/7 news cycle. And they're looking for content. They report on this kind of stuff, but I can remember vividly at the height of the crack epidemic, I knew numerous rings like this, from stealing lawnmowers from Walmart to contact. Remember, I don't know if y'all knew, but during the 80s and the 90s, half the hood was running around with colored contact. They had green.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, listen, don't forget the beepers too, man. Hey, don't forget the beepers and things everybody had.
So, I knew, back then all this kind of stuff was going on.
But listen, though, Doc, to your point too, this retail theft was something that, and I hope I don't have somebody don't send me a fish rolled up in a newspaper because, I'm about to talk a little bit about, La Cosa Nostra, but that's something that the mob used to do. Remember they used to talk about, it fell off the truck. Yeah. And so retail crime was something that the mob would do for years on top of years and selling things off of trucks or whatever the case may be. But now you have it, but remember now the mob, that theirs was more so dealing with the unions and getting things that way or hijacking trucks and things like that. If they were running into, Gucci stores and things like that, I'm sure that it would have been a different story. Because what folks are doing now is, this, and the thing of it is too, back when the mob was big about doing those things, if they would have had the internet, it probably would have been the same type of issue, same type of story too. So,
hey, and think about the fact that, the Hollywood Strip, we see these flash mobs go into high-end jewelry stores and clean up.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think is driving it? What's driving it?
Finances.
But economics, and that's part of it. But also, I asked the question again: is there any correlation with if you believe that the penalty for doing the crime is not that great or is not that severe, that it's worth trying to get away with? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, because when they get caught, I mean, it's not a like you said, it's not a whole lot of penalty. Hey, but it made me think about something, Doc. Remember, like on the old show, like Sanford and Son, they used to talk about people fencing.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's just more. You know, back then when people were fencing, they weren't fencing high-end luxury items. Well, you know, I take that back. I believe they were, but it's just that now it's so publicized. People have made this thing out to be their moment to get on YouTube or Instagram and all of this other stuff. But they've been doing this for a minute, though.
So basically, you're saying the risk, because I'm looking again, and I'm referring to bail reform and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Are people looking at it saying that the risk is worth the reward? I mean, basically, because we're seeing it happen all too often now.
I think it's a different group of people, and it's driven by the internet. You know why?
Yeah.
Because constantly, every day, we see people posting their lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes people desire these type of things: the clothing, all of the signature, the jewelry, and all of that. So those people can't afford to walk into those kind of stores and pay retail price. So that gives thieves an opportunity to say, hey, we'll go take it all and we'll bring it down here and sell it to you, because we know you ain't gonna have qualms about buying stolen goods. We're gonna give it to you at 25% of what it costs versus the full 100%. So they created it's a demand for it, and there's a market for it.
So Doc, what's the deterrent to it? What's the deterrent?
Jail time if you get caught.
There is none. As long as, listen, we continue to morph into two different countries: the haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots are not going to have any problem with victimizing the haves.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this though, Doc, because there's one thing that you said. You said that sometimes they're stealing this for people who can't afford it. But what I would say is that in addition to stealing for people who can't afford it, sometimes they're stealing for the ones who can afford it, because especially like with Gucci, Louis Vuitton, if they take that stuff and they put it on eBay, I've literally seen a bag that you can purchase for $2,500 in a Louis Vuitton store, and a year later you go and someone is selling it on eBay for $3,000-$4,000. So sometimes they're getting this stuff and they're selling it at even a more marked up price, because I mean, and my wife taught me these luxury items, because I was just like, man, I'm not paying for that foolishness. But now, I got a little coin, I can pay a little bit for it. But now I see the benefits of it, because they do appreciate in price and value.
Yeah, some things, but the consumer, a lot of the brand name that they sell is for consumers.
Yeah.
And the real items, and I watched this on a documentary, and they were talking about branding. And they said that usually the real luxury items are sold without that branding and sold within a certain atmosphere for that client, that upscale clientele. They brand these things with the labels for people who can't really afford the real items. They got different levels of their goods, and some of them you can only get by invitation. You got to be invited to wear their stuff. Like that's why movie stars and people like Kim Kardashian, they get those styles that nobody else can get. You can't go and get what they have off the rack, because it was specifically targeted for that person that can pay $18,000 for a shirt.
Well, you know what? I'll continue to say, man, until there's some serious consequences, we're going to continue to see that.
Yeah.
There's no good way, man, to segue to this. And I mean, I guess just to be direct, the nation is mourning our former First Lady, Rosalind Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard, Brother Love, but I think on Saturday there was a news that came about that she had been placed in hospice And then the very next day, we heard that former First Lady Carter passed away at age 96.
Yeah.
And so, right now, I want to say that Jimmy Carter, he is the oldest living former president, and Ms. Carter would have been the oldest living First Lady in the nation.
How old is he, Greg?
I want to say he's 98 now.
Okay.
Yeah, 98, either 98 or 99. He's almost a century.
And
He's
he went
almost a century.
didn't he went in the hospice, was it a month ago? I'm not sure.
He went into something. It may have been a little bit longer than that. Maybe a little bit longer than that. But he I think up until about maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, he was still teaching, at I want to say the University of Athens, the University in Athens, Georgia. I want to say, I could be wrong on that, but I know that he was still very active in the community up until about 2 or 3 years ago. So.
Greg, speaking of him being active, and I know you already know the answer to this question, but what, I guess, nationally or globally noted charitable organization or charitable function that he is most famous for establishing and creating?
I already know that, man. That's Habitat for Humanity.
You're right.
Yeah, Habitat for Humanity. Yeah, he was very key and instrumental. I don't know if he started it or if he was like a big proponent of it, but I know that Habitat for Humanity is something that former President Carter was very much a part of and pushed and promoted and things like that. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, think about where he came from.
Yeah.
A peanut farm in Georgia. Knew a little bit something about struggle or people coming together and helping their neighbors to build homes for each other, almost like Little House on the Prairies. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's that was his thing. That was his thing. So,
well, once again, man, our condolences go out to his family, for former First Lady Rosalynn Carter. But Greg, some news, man, that continue to come to us, man. The coverage of our President Biden.
Well, listen, man. When we talk about getting up there in age, President Joe Biden is not far behind former President Carter. As a matter of fact, if my math is right, President Carter. Former President Carter may have been 17 years old when Joe Biden was born, or thereabouts, if we put this into perspective. So they're not too far out of each other's generation, but at 80 years old, coming up on 81 years old, there's some serious concern about President Joe Biden and his ability to continue to run this country.
So do you believe, Greg, that there's going to be, and I don't know, man, if you use the word codify or establish, but a fitness test for presidents?
There is a fitness test. There's a cognitive test that presidents take. And, President Trump took the test. All of the presidents have taken it, but President Trump, when they were saying that he was, slow and declining, they basically said that he, passed with flying colors, but they would never release the results for President Joe Biden. But day in and day out, we're starting to see news reports, and this is where you know that the mainstream media is falling out of love with President Joe Biden, because they're allowing these things to be seen more and more, where he's doing things that's questionable, where more and more people are starting to say, hey, is Joe Biden going to be able to serve a second term? And I think that right now, a resounding number of voters are answering in the negative in that regard.
Yeah, and I mean, Greg, when we're seeing it on more of, and I'm gonna just say more of your liberal news stations. I'm talking CNN, MSNBC, where they're showing the polling that's taking place. And we don't put a whole lot of stock in polling, but they've been showing polling that is showing or suggesting if the presidential election was to take place today, he wouldn't win.
Well, there've been a couple of polls come. Well, let's talk about three key polls in this regard, Brother Love. According to the Mammoth University poll, 76% of the voters felt that Biden is too old to effectively serve a second term. Now, that is key. 76% of the voters that were polled. The other one is that Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low at 40%. That's the other thing. But the other poll, when you compound that on this poll, that has a lot of people concerned, and folks are wondering why it is that the Biden administration and the Biden camp aren't more concerned. They're just like, oh, well, you know, this is what voters are saying. But the polls show that right now, if the election was held today, Donald Trump would get 48% of the vote. Biden would get 40 to 41% of the vote. That should be very troubling to Democrats such as myself when we talk about, you know, who is the Democratic candidate that's going to be put forth to run for the presidency. And if Joe Biden is the guy, there's some real concern.
Greg, you played what? Football, basketball?
I was a basketball player, ran track, yeah.
I didn't play baseball, but I'm going to throw you a curveball.
All right. And I'll tell you my baseball story later.
Okay, but here's the curveball. I mean, you and I, we talked months ago, and, you know, we said it didn't necessarily amount to a whole lot when Cornel West basically said he was running for presidency. And you also heard some of the talking head Democrats that came out and said, you know, that's a terrible thing for him to do because he's going to slice a couple.
Right.
But then, Greg, when Senator Manchin announced that he wasn't running for re-election, that has the Democratic Party scrambling right now because if Manchin runs under what they call it, a no label.
Third party,
Third party. And they're very, very concerned. And I was watching the talking heads, you know, all day this weekend. And Manchin refuses to say that he would not do this. So, Greg, does that add further concern?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Manchin is from a Republican state, but he was a Democrat. He caucused with the Democrats. And so, you know, he is very much entrenched in Democrat politics. And so if he were to get into this race, that is going to be a serious concern for Democrats, not for Republicans. And so, you know, with Cornel West, you know, Cornel West is in the race or whatever, but I mean, I don't even think he's polling at 1%. So that's not a real big concern. But when you start compiling this stuff, compounding it, like, you know, when you talk about Marianne Williamson, we talk about Cornel West, and you talk about Robert Kennedy, now you're talking about Joe Manchin.
But it's somebody else that jumped in the Democratic presidential.
Yeah, I forget who it is. You're right. But also when you start talking about you know, what's the governor over in California, Newsom? When you start talking, his name starts floating around. We think about Whitmer, her name is starting to float around a little bit. This is an indication that the Democrat Party, rightfully so, is concerned about the potential outcome of the 2024 election and the fact that Donald Trump, no matter what they throw at him, continues to go up in the polls. As a matter of fact, you know, from the last Republican presidential debate, it appears that Nikki Haley has pushed herself to number 2 right now. Tim Scott is out, so he's going to be vying for a vice presidential spot.
But I also saw a lot of Senator Tim Scott's supporters, top money class supporters, have come and endorsed Governor DeSantis. So you see where things are. The field is starting to take shape now.
It is taking shape now, and you know, I understand about Tim Scott's donors, but it appears that even with the donors, you know, that Governor DeSantis is now number 4 in the polls. And so what they're saying, which is crazy to me, because what they're saying is that Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, and then Governor DeSantis. So I don't know what poll that is that has Chris Christie above Ron DeSantis. I don't know what poll it is that has Vivek Ramaswamy above Ron DeSantis. But those are the things that are floating out there.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not believing them polls. I'm gonna cast that aside. But in addition to that, Greg, let me ask you this question. With, you know, all the things that are going on with the Biden presidency right now, is there one single thing that sticks out to you that makes him, you know, much weaker of a candidate? Because I will say this to you, when we look at and we talked about this, man, folk didn't necessarily vote for Biden.
Yeah, they voted against Trump.
They just voted against Trump. So now he's had a period of time that they're looking at him.
So I don't understand your question. I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth. I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth. Because now you asked me, let me say, I don't understand why you asked this question. You asked me, is there anything about Biden's candidacy that makes him a weaker candidate.
The age, I know.
No, listen. The question
Okay.
should be: is there anything about Biden's candidacy that makes him even a little
Yeah.
bit of a viable candidate? That should be your question. Because
Hey, you see them lawyer skills?
because that one question, I wouldn't stand the words coming out your mouth on the other
Yeah.
question, because there's so many negatives on Biden running for president. From age to policy.
So how does your party get around this?
Get a new candidate.
But at this point in the game, I mean, what? So he bows out.
He's
So there's a strategy behind the scenes.
listen. They don't invite me to the party. You understand what I'm telling you? I don't get the memos. They stopped sending me the memos a while ago. But Joe Biden was the wrong candidate from jump. He was the wrong.
Well, hold up. You called it. You called it now.
I told you. But yeah, I knew he was going to be the candidate. I didn't agree with it, but I knew he was going to be the candidate.
Greg, on a stage of about what, 17
Yeah.
candidates?
Yeah. It just lined up that way. But now, listen, just like I thought that that Mike Pence would be the pick for the Republican Party, I was wrong on that. Now, sometimes I am wrong, but I just thought that Mike Pence, from a temperament standpoint, from an executive legislative point, being a former governor, from a legislative standpoint, being a former representative in the House, from being a former vice president, I thought, in my mind, that Pence would be, the presumptive front runner in as a presidential candidate.
Greg, help me figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out and wonder how is Vivek still on the stage?
Vivek Ramaswamy is still on the stage because he is he is a person that makes people think. He says things about the Republican Party that needs to be said, and that's the one thing that I like about Vivek Ramaswamy. He is not a go along to get along type of candidate. Now, what he's done is he's taken the Trump model from 2016, 2017, and he's tried to make it his own. But there's only one Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Thank
but
goodness.
Greg, man, I mean, it's clear as day. This guy's not running for president.
Well, he thinks he is. I believe that Vivek Ramaswamy really and truly believes that he is the best candidate for president right now outside of Donald Trump.
Well, and that goes back to my point. Do you know what I see this guy running for? Vice president. And that's when you hear this guy talk, Greg, this guy, he's not running for no presidency, because everything comes out of his mouth is basically saying to the audience and also speaking to one single person to say, I'm your man.
So really and truly, I think that Vivek may want if not president, I think that he wants a position in the Trump cabinet. I think that he's too outspoken to be a vice president. I think that he has said too much about the Republican Party to be vice president, because basically he's second in command at that point.
Oh, please don't get me wrong. I'm not endorsing him.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying. I think that he would be, the wrong selection for vice president. Now, who I think, if they're smart, the person that should be put up for vice president in this particular election would be Nikki Haley. The reason being is that if Kamala Harris remains as Joe Biden's VP, assuming that he's still in the race, and I'm assuming that he's still going to be in the race, because there are too many people that can control. There are too many people that have influences on the Biden administration for them to just have him to bow out. That's my first thing. But there's a lot to be said about Mike Pence. As timid as he was against Kamala Harris on that stage, it was still a man going up and pressuring a female candidate. And I think that there's a lot to be said about that. It was not like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, where Hillary Clinton was seen as, almost like this, this deity in terms of, you can't touch her anyways. Kamala Harris is a little bit softer, a little bit, a little more delicate than Hillary Clinton, not by much. But, to go up against someone like a Nikki Haley, I think would kind of neutralize, this thing about,
okay, I got you.
About, hey, you have this guy that's talking to a female candidate like that. No, now you have two ladies that are talking the same, about the same type of thing. So,
and Greg, she was Secretary of State?
Ambassador.
Okay.
Yeah, and governor of South Carolina. So I mean, she has the executive experience. She has the the international experience in terms of diplomacy and being an ambassador and different things of that nature. And she's just sharp on her feet. She's sharp on her feet.
Well, I tell you what. When is the next debate? Have they announced it?
I haven't seen it.
Okay,
I haven't seen it.
We got something to stay tuned for.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, man, I don't know how comfortable you are with this topic, man.
What's that?
Coach Prime.
Oh man.
Greg, I mean, we wished him the best, but the thing that I was looking to see how it was going to be received, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
Greg, how do you take it when you start losing?
Listen, big up to Coach Prime because he doesn't shy away from the media. Every single game, win, lose, or draw, he goes out, he sits in front of the media, and he answers and he responds to questions. Now, his responses aren't always the best because, I think, except for this last time, I think he puts a lot of blame on the players. He puts a lot of blame on the coaches, as opposed to standing there and saying, listen, I'm the captain of this ship. When things go wrong, I'm the person you look at.
Okay, so with that being the case, Jimbo Fisher,
the $75 million man.
Yeah. And so, Greg, here's the thing, man, and I say this with all due respect.
Yeah.
But man, when people look at America and say they're paying this guy $75 million and he didn't accomplish anything, he was a failure.
For all practical, but listen, he did the same thing at Florida State, though. He did the same thing at Florida State.
He got them a championship.
Right. He just like what's his name, Ron Zook at Florida, got Florida championship. Or no, was it? I'm sorry, Urban Meyer got Florida championship off of Ron Zook. Not Ron Zook. What's his name?
It was the prior coach.
Yeah. And just like what's his name? Chucky. They called him Chucky. Gruden. Just like Gruden got Tampa Bay a championship off of Dungy's team.
Yeah.
I mean, he got him something, but listen, those weren't his guys.
Well, great. I mean, can you get your arms around this? And Greg is going to take that contract language with me, so I'm not even going to go there. I know how to deal with Attorney Jackson here. I'm not going there, but $77 million to go away as a failure, and so Coach Prime name has been coming up. And, Coach Prime's contract is $30 million.
Right.
Greg, and Texas, for those of you who don't know, Texas is where they got oil wells.
Yeah, they got plenty of money in Texas.
Yes.
They got plenty of money in Texas.
And so, even though, and I don't want to throw anything in the game, but Greg, when you look at what Texas' ability to do in terms of compensation compared to what Colorado has done, no comparison.
But you know what Texas A&M is looking for?
What?
Looking for a winner. Coach Prime, his first season in the Pac-12 has not shown himself to be a winner. He's shown himself to be competitive. He's shown himself to be a motivator to an extent. But Texas A&M is not going to trade a coach who is 4-7 or 4-6. And pay that type of money when there's so many other coaches out there right now that have winning records that they can bring into Texas A&M.
Do you see that? And unfortunately, some of the top recruits that had committed to Colorado have decommitted.
Yeah, because they think he's going to Texas A&M. But not to say that it won't happen, but I don't think Texas A&M is the type of school. I don't think that they have the type. Remember, Texas A&M has a deep history, and Texas A&M is a military school also. That's what people have to realize. And I don't think that Texas A&M is up on the hype of what Coach Prime brought to Jackson State or brought to Colorado.
Yeah.
And it takes me back to the first game that they won. It was a great win. TCU. The game after that was a great win. And the way that Coach Prime went at the media, I got receipts. Do you believe now? I got receipts. And I was like, man, if he's talking like that, I'm hoping he wins, 8-9 games this season, because if you're talking about that type of braggadocio, they're going to take the first chance that they can to throw that back in your face, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, you're right.
And, and it takes me back to what the Oregon coach said. And it was right, because now you're starting to really see, who's in it for the long haul. When he said they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins.
Yeah, you're right.
And these teams that they're running up against, whether it's Arizona State, whether it's Stanford, name the teams that they come up against. They're not playing for clicks. These guys are playing for wins.
Boy, I tell you, Greg is helping me make a point here. When you look at, and I can't remember what sports writer came out this weekend and said Travis Hunter needs to enter the portal because America deserves to see this kid play on a platform and for a team that at least has more of a chance than. And this kid is going to get drafted
If he don't get hurt.
if he does. Yeah,
I mean, listen, they're playing this kid too. Listen, Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson were tremendous players, and I'm never going to take anything away from either one of those guys. They've done things for the sport of baseball and the sport of football, and on the collegiate level, on the professional level, that we'll probably never see again. But when they were playing both ways, they weren't playing against the level of competition that these kids are playing against now. These kids are playing against NFL-ready players every single weekend.
Yeah, you're right.
And when you're putting Travis Hunter out there, who really isn't that big, Travis Hunter is not a big kid, and you're putting him up against these potential NFL-level players every single week, this kid he has a potential of getting hurt every single game. And you can't keep putting that type of pressure on this young kid, even though he wants to do it. Let him get good at whatever it is he's going to do, but stop playing in both ways. This guy's going to get hurt, man.
Travis Hunter reminds me of a Tariq Hill receiver for the Dolphins, or who was the guy? Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham, yeah.
Yeah, and man, when this guy's on, he's on.
He's on.
But Greg, to another point, when we talk about Texas A&M, they're already saying that Jimbo Fisher break the bank with. I mean, because how do you pay somebody coming behind what you just paid?
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be hard. And listen now, I mean, I think he received a similar buyout from Florida State. I want to say he received a similar buyout from Florida State when he pulled the okey doke on the Seminole.
Well, you're the guru on this, but I was reading the other day from multiple sources that a lot of times those contracts say that if you take another coaching job, the amount of the payout is reduced. Jimbo Fisher's contract with Texas A&M says he can go sign a contract with whomever, and it doesn't affect that $77 million payout. And, of course, when we hear about a $77 million payout, the details are coming out slowly but surely. And no, he's not getting a $77 million check written to him.
Just all in lump sum. Yeah. It's like the lottery. They're going to pay it out over time. Correct. They're going to pay it out over time. But still, $77 million over 5 years or 10 years, that's still more than what, 99% of people in the world are going to make.
You're right.
That's a lot of scratch. I mean, that's not, LeBron James money, but, that's a lot of scratch that anybody's going to.
Well, let's just say he's not worried about paying his light bill anytime soon.
Yeah, not unless he's like, what's the guy's name? Like some of these NFL players, NBA players.
Yeah.
Who was a favorite? Who was the big guy that made $100 million?
Well, Charles Barkley was one that
Barkley still has this money. Who was the guy? He played for the Celtics. And made $100 million. Antoine Walker. Okay. And what $100 million? He practically broke now.
Oh, man.
I mean, look at what happened to Mike Tyson. Made $300 million boxing.
But what happened to Mike Tyson was also Don
King.
Don King.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Mike Tyson.
The curse of Don King happened to Mike Tyson. Oh, what's he getting?
He's out for the rest of the season, right?
$175 million, and he only probably played 6 games.
But he played for who? Who is he?
The Browns.
The Browns, that's right.
And the money is guaranteed. You don't lose $1.
But
nice.
With the signing of his contract,
nice.
That also helped. But that also helped Philadelphia Eagles quarterback.
Hurt.
Yeah.
I
mean,
while we talking about ridiculous contracts, I'm still upset with Grant Hill when he came and played for the Magic. And I think I don't even think he played a full season. I think it was one season. They had him just coming out making announcements because he couldn't play. I was like, look, that $96 million you making, you need to do more than come out here and give an
How
announcements,
many
man.
years did he play?
I want to say, was it 6 with the
Because it
Magic?
wasn't long. It
With
wasn't
the Magic?
Well, with the Magic, yeah, maybe, but he wasn't in the
4
league.
to 6 years. He was in the league for what, 12 years? He was in the league for a minute. Because remember, he played for
Detroit. Did he play for Detroit?
Detroit, and then he went to what's that? Did he go to North Carolina for a minute? Oh no, the Suns. He went to the Suns
Okay.
for a minute. Yeah. So but I mean, $96 million. That's a lot of scratch.
Well, Greg, since we, on the tail end, man, can you talk about this Starbucks deal?
Listen, and this kind of caught our attention last week when they were announcing that on Red Cup Day, which is last Thursday, that there were Starbucks baristas who were protesting, and they have a union.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking. I mean, what in the world does a Starbucks barista need with the union, brother? Are times listen, when you think about unions, man, when I think about unions, I think about the auto industry. I think about, the teachers, people that are out there, making a difference and changing lives. I know there's some people out there that got to have their coffee every morning. But what is it that a Starbucks barista is going through that changes people's lives where they have to unionize right now?
You tell me. You the attorney in here.
I can't listen. I don't understand it. Just like you was at FedEx, they unionized. I remember they tricked me, brother. I worked for FedEx for 3 days, and they got my
3 days?
they got my union dues, man. I was like, what? I didn't benefit from that. My union dues being paid not one little bit, man.
But Greg, Starbucks is
but
unionized?
yeah. But I understand FedEx because they have people that are putting packages on things, and I mean, listen, that's hard work, brother. You ever worked for FedEx?
No, I haven't.
Listen, man,
Greg, you
big
stayed
ups
for
to
3 days?
Yeah, big ups to people. Listen, you did it, brother Armando. Yeah, UPS, FedEx. Big ups to people who work for UPS and FedEx and load up those
You
trucks.
didn't hear what the general said. He worked for 3 days.
3 days.
72 hours.
That's 3 days. 5 hours. So 15 hours is my total of what I did, man. But listen, I worked like a dog. So you got to add on 7 to that. So I worked there for 35 months.
But Greg, I know we're winding down. Hey, man, people are starting to call and text me and saying, when is I Got Time Today going to be debuting, man? You gonna keep him on the cliff on this?
I'm gonna keep him on the clip. It's gonna be here by the first of the year, though. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Okay, so you
gonna
got
be the first
so
of the
you
year.
got a couple of things because your wife is going to be broadcasting on the LTN network as well.
She is, but she got to get her show together.
You got to get a show
I
together.
told her that. She think I'm playing.
Well, hey,
Hey, I'm her executive producer, and I drive a tight ship.
hey, but man, I tell you, man, we're looking for some great things, man. Thanksgiving, Greg.
Yes, sir. Oh,
Who cooking?
oh, well, listen, man, it's a collaboration effort. The wife is gonna do the bulk of the cooking. I'm gonna make the deviled eggs.
Okay.
Like I do, my daughter and I were gonna do the deviled eggs every year. My mom's gonna do her world famous dress, and I think we talked about this. Remember, somebody called and challenged my mama's
I
dress.
remember.
We almost had a fisticuffs. And let me think. Porky's used to do our turkey.
Oh, but
And
Porky's is out of business.
Yeah, Porky's out of business. But here's the update on the turkey this year in the Jackson household, brother love. We went and we got the Popeyes Cajun turkey. So next week, whenever we come back, I'm gonna give a report on the Popeyes Cajun turkey because I
Popeyes
keep hearing
Cajun
good things
turkey.
about it.
I'm going to wait and hear about that, Armando. But I will tell you there's 2 things that I'm looking forward to.
What's that?
My family will be coming up this week. Wednesday, we do a seafood fest.
Oh, nice.
Thursday, Thanksgiving. But there's 2 things that I look forward to on Thanksgiving, and may not be what everybody else is looking for. My wife's collard greens
Okay.
are incredible,
Really?
and my mom's peach cobblet ain't none better.
Listen, man, you might have to save me a corner. You know I like the corner pieces. You might have to save me a corner, man.
Hey, Brother Jackson, man, we had so much fun, and guess what, man? We're around the corner from going into 2024.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But listen, man, for those who have been listening, I forgot to say this in the beginning, but you all been listening to two of the most influential voices on this podcast in Central Florida. This is the dynamic duo, Brother Love and Greg Jackson. And you also are able to catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio.
Without a doubt. Brother Jackson, the clock on the wall says it all. And now, man, we got a timer to tick down so we know exactly, at least I know exactly when to tell you where you can go.
Hey, man, watch that. Watch that.
Hey, but Brother Jackson, you do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Hey, we'll see everybody next Monday on Let's Talk Nation. Please join us.